Well, hello indie warriors, gamers, everybody, welcome! This is a brand new show for I Dream of Indie Games, something I've been thinking about for quite a long time now, and you know, I Dream of Indie Games, I would say it's a little bit of an underdog story. When we started this channel, there weren't all that many out there that were willing to give this message a chance. It's clickbait free for one, which is a huge no-no for the YouTube algorithm, but also at its heart, I Dream of Indie Games was and still is a review channel focused exclusively on indie and AA niche products that don't utilize toxic review scores that mainly exist for sizzle reels and Metacritic. So yeah, the odds were kind of stacked against us, but there were two smaller indies that were willing to give us a chance in those early days, and I remember them and I remember them well. The games were Escape Lala 1 and 2 from developer Duck Bear Lab, and Gory Tale from 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐤. We've come a long ways since then, and I hope those indie developers have as well, but I'm so proud of all of you for connecting to this message, spreading it, and helping us bring a voice to so many indies over the last 3 years. Now this show is an opportunity to get back to some of those early roots of the channel. We get, no lie, hundreds of emails from indie developers seeking coverage, and here on Indie Underdogs, we'll be trying to take a look at some of the smaller indie projects out there, the devs that can't seem to get coverage no matter how hard they try. So much talent goes unnoticed, so many games lost in a sea of releases. Here we'll do our part to spotlight some of these games and hopefully help indie developers gain a bit of exposure in the process. These are not traditional reviews, mind you, but we will be looking at the first hour or so, maybe 2 hours of 2 to 3 indie projects per episode. And you can kind of do with our experience what you will. Maybe you'll find the next smaller indie project that you want to support right here on Indie Underdogs. So this week we have two selections, A Fox and His Robot from 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿, and Legendary Hoplite, which comes from Triple Brick Games and publisher Ravenge Games. Thank you both for submitting your games for this week's episode, so let's get into them. Alright, it's time for our first indie underdog, A Fox and His Robot. You can learn more at 𝐴𝐴foxandhisrobot.com. This was released on March 1st of 2023. It comes from developer and publisher 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿, a solo developer here. Looks like he did have some help with the music. He actually gives you a little introduction that will only play once, even if you delete your save file and go back. You can only see this introductory message once. Let's take a quick listen at what Joshua has to say about his own game.
And it has platforming. It's an incredible experience with a heartwarming story, and it's all at the tip of your fingertips right now as you hold that controller or keyboard or however you're playing the game.
Alright, so some of you might think this is a pretentious approach, but personally, I like the idea of a developer kind of popping up at the beginning of the game and just thanking you. You work very hard for your money after all, so it's good that they appreciate that you spent it on their product. Now, price wasn't something that I was going to be bringing up too often on this show, but in the case of A Fox and His Robot, I do feel like I have to take note here. This game is listed at $59.99. There is a 10% discount at the time of this video. 10% off brings it to $53.99. But right off the bat there, Joshua, this is a very, very high asking price for a smaller indie, and that could be an issue for a lot of people. Alright, rather than me explaining the entire introduction to you, let's go ahead and listen in and kind of get the setup for what this game is all about.
Hey you, the player, the one with the controller in your hands, I have to tell you, welcome to outer space. It's kind of lonely out here having the entire universe to yourself. A sense of longing for meaning and purpose. But don't worry, we're gonna get rid of all of that. I've got the perfect purpose for you. It's on a little planet just a few fathoms out. Sorry you're traveling alone, but good luck. Oh, and don't worry about your purpose. When you get there, you'll know what to do.
So this title takes place on the planet Delta 7, and you play as Alpha, who's trying to escape a prison. Alpha is not alone, however, as an AI is somehow connected to him, and the two will often have conversations with each other as you platform through different areas. Actually, at least in the hour I've spent with this game, the core platforming mechanics aren't really half bad. Jumping feels decent, you have a double jump as well, and then there's an air dash, which is a bit meh, but gets the job done, I suppose, considering the level designs that I've come across kind of cater to the mechanics of the game.
Artificial intelligence.
Oh, don't worry, I'll get you out in a second. If it wasn't so complicated, what is wrong with this thing? It just, oh wait, oh, it's working. Oh, it's very simple for me to do.
So what do you want?
To help you. Although I'm sure my friends won't like the fact I'm saving a biological life form.
Oh no, you don't get to play nice with me. I've been trapped on this planet my entire life. Why are you really here?
Glad you could feel the presence of my wisdom. The word AI doesn't even make sense anymore. Artificial? We're better. How is being better artificial?
Fuck, this is a game where you're really gonna die a lot. This is not easy at all. You really have to learn the patterns, you gotta get used to each situation, you gotta have pretty decent platforming skills if you're gonna survive. Alright, right away you can tell there is quite a bit of jank to this game. It is not perfect. The animations kind of tweak out from time to time, the controls aren't as solid as perhaps I would like, even though they do get the job done. But one thing I can say is that the developer clearly understands precision platformers quite well. They're working on a budget. That's really obvious. You don't need me to tell you that. With the narrative too, a good amount of creativity has gone into this title. I don't really love the way it's presented. I think the voice acting kind of constantly taking place while you're trying to focus and platform is a little bit unusual. Ah shit, we're getting to that blood boiling moment where I play a game and it really starts to piss me off. Fuck! Come on! Not really the game's fault, my fault. Ah! Well, it's a good thing you respawn relatively close to where you left off, otherwise I probably would have performed a rage quit by now. Let's take a look at some more of the scenes, sights, and sounds that a fox and his robot has to offer, without me screaming. So you can hear there that some of the musical tracks are quite nice in A Fox and His Robot, and visually this isn't a terrible looking game either, though I must admit I get they were going for a cinematic feel at times, but this is kind of funny. Look, your whole screen can literally be blocked at times. Graphics will glitch out here or there, animations aren't anything to write home about. It's a good thing though I didn't run into any enemies during these particular sections, or I would have been totally screwed. Also worth noting is that A Fox and His Robot features a multiplayer component. Unfortunately, I didn't get to test that out. I'm here making this video alone, but it is referred to as the Coliseum, and according to the Steam page, it is a one-on-one death battle across 12 different settings. So I can't comment on how fun that mode is, obviously, I didn't try it, but it's here. So 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤𝐞 has created a few other projects in the past, including Fox Ridge and A Transposition in Time. Both of these are novels available on his website, so it looks like A Fox and His Robot is his first crack at a video game. You know, I think there is a pretty solid effort here for a first attempt by a solo developer. The asking price is absolutely insane, I don't understand that at all, and the game has its jank, it's frustrating, and even a little obnoxious at times, but the core platforming is pretty okay here, and I think there's much room for this solo developer to grow. I enjoy offering my feedback on some of the bigger indie game releases, but it's also a great honor to help some smaller indie developers out there, and maybe my advice can help you in some way, but maybe not. Maybe you'll just throw it out, crumple it up, you know, do what you want with it. Audience down below, you can comment as well. I leave you with the trailer for this title before we hop into our next game featured on this week's episode of Indie Underdogs.
You're an artificial intelligence, and I'm a fox. So why are you helping me escape?
It's complicated. Look at your surroundings. What do you see? I see a young fox scrambling in the wind. Nature, it's a beautiful tragedy.
trust you!
That's it. You're doing this my way. I'm gonna put you into a coma, and you're gonna enter the subconscious.
What?
We're gonna get you full root access to your mind. Once you're in there, you can hack away and do whatever you want.
Now we are going from a precision platformer to an action management title. Next we have Legendary Hoplite, which I've also spent about an hour with, and I'm pleased to report this game is really quite fun. If you like a little bit of tower defense in your game, some management, light RPG elements, I think you'll find this to be a nice little hidden indie treat. At the time of this video, there is a demo available, though I believe you don't have a ton of time left on that. Probably if you're watching this 2 to 3 days after it came out, it might already be gone, so be sure to grab that if you want to check the game out for yourself. But anyways, Legendary Hoplite is all about a warrior named 𝐥𝐤, who's tasked with destroying monsters using an assortment of weapons and abilities. Much of the time, you'll be hurling spears at foes who slowly approach you, but as you get further and further into this title, you unlock troops that can help you. You'll also gain new abilities, you can build up walls, and the goal is ultimately to survive a set number of waves without those walls behind you coming down. Take a listen to some of the gameplay here for a bit. My first impression of this game was the menus are pretty sleek. I think it looks alright. It has a nice soundtrack to it to open up, but translation-wise, I did catch a few grammatical errors in the opening moments, so that's just a heads up to the dev. Maybe have an editor take a look at things there. But let's be real, you probably aren't playing a game like this for its story. At least you shouldn't be. There's a good balance of strategy involved to the gameplay here, and it's quite simple to swap new equipment in and out as you upgrade these characters in between battles. You can change their weapons, their armor. I was playing it on the keyboard myself, which was totally fine, but I do think the controller support needs some work and can be integrated better, if only because it was really hard to tell which buttons were which. Also, side note, my monitor goes up to 1440p, but as of now, the max resolution on this title seems to be 1080p. That might change when this isn't a demo, but not a huge deal either way. I guess that leads me to what I think of the art style of this game, though, based on what I've seen thus far. As you can see, visuals not half bad in this title, am I right? Pretty decent looking indie here. The skeletons will burst into piles of bones when you defeat them. I even had this one freaky one-eyed titan come at me at one point. He does some serious damage if he gets through, by the way. Really hard to take down. As the game is broken up into chapters, I imagine too that the level variety will change quite a bit, and apparently there's even bosses that you'll encounter. I haven't gotten that far yet. There is one thing I can say for sure about this game though, it really got its hooks in me, damn it. If it weren't for the insane workflow I'm dealing with, I probably would have kept going for several more hours. It's just one of those games where it's easy enough to play and it's easy enough to upgrade and do all of the things where you kind of just want to keep going. Alright, so the final version of Legendary Hoplite is listed as coming soon to the Steam PC platform, and according to the Steam page, the final version will feature 100 levels, 60 different types of monsters, There's a bunch of bosses, as I mentioned. Some of them are based off of Greek mythology, like Cerberus and Gorgon. Tons of items to collect, a good assortment of different armies to earn, and of course, achievements. I think this is a fun little hidden indie gem. I've had a great time with it so far. I'd say if you're into games like Plants vs. Zombies, if that's your kind of thing, you'll find something to like about Legendary Hoplite. Not totally sure on the price range of this one just yet. I don't think that's been announced. But either way, if this comes out at a reasonable price, definitely at the least worth adding to your wish list for now to see how it all turns out. Alright folks, thanks so much for tuning in to our very first episode ever of Indie Underdogs. I hope that you enjoyed it greatly, just as much as I enjoyed making it. I think in the future you'll see some live gameplay of me and 𝐤𝐸𝐷𝐸𝐷𝐸 actually commenting as we play these games. This is kind of a pilot episode, but I want to thank both of our developers today for being a part of it. It was really exciting to learn about your games, and I hope you all learned something too, and you look forward to more episodes of Indie Underdogs right here at 𝐸𝐷REAM in the future. We're trying to cover all our bases here: smaller indies, mid-sized indies, bigger, more popular indies, AA niche titles. This is your one-stop destination for all of it, folks, and we're so fortunate to have you all here helping us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. Thank you for all you do. Patreon.com/𝐸𝐷REAM if you want to support us further, and let's defeat the echo chamber together.